Hi, thank you for joining me today. It's Geraldine from the Paper Puffin Studio, and today I'm going to show you how to make this Easter card that is a swing easel design. When you open the card, you can write a message on this inside portion here, and it stands up nicely in an easel format for display. I hope you enjoy this video. If you do, please remember to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Now let's get started. Let's begin by reviewing all of the pieces you're going to need to make this card. You're going to need a piece of your base color, which measures 6 inches by 11 inches. You're going to need 2 pieces of a coordinating cardstock. One piece is 2 inches by 5 7/8, and the other piece is 3 7/8 by 3 5/8. You'll need 2 pieces of white cardstock. One piece is 5 7/8 by 3 inches, and one piece is 3 3/4 by 3 1/2 inches. You'll need designer series paper, 2 pieces measuring 7/8 of an inch by 3 7/8, 2 pieces measuring 7/8 of an inch by 2 5/8, and 2 pieces measuring 7/8 of an inch by 1 7/8. You'll also need a couple of pieces of scrap paper, one in your base color. I'm choosing to use this stitched label die from the rectangle set, and then a piece of white, and I'm going to be using this die as well from the stitched rectangle set. Now we're ready to score the base of the card. So with the 11-inch edge along the top of the trimmer, we're going to be scoring this at 2 inches, 2 1/2 inches, 3 inches, and 5 3/4 of an inch. Now we're ready to do some cutting. So I'm going to be turning my paper so that I have the 6-inch edge along the top of the trimmer, and I have the score lines closest to the top. I'm going to be placing this in my trimmer and lining it up at the 1-inch mark. When I line it up at the 1-inch mark, I'm going to take my cutting blade and place that at the 1-inch mark on the side here. I'm going to be cutting from 1 inch down to the second score line, which was at 2 1/2 inches. And then I'm going to raise my blade, move the blade to the 3-inch mark, which is at the next score line, and I'm going to be now cutting from 3 inches to 4 3/4 of an inch. I'm going to take my paper out, and I'm now going to flip it upside down. I'm going to repeat what I've just done. So lining it up at 1 inch on the right-hand side and placing my cutting blade at 1 inch, I'm going to be cutting from the 1-inch mark down to 2 1/2 inches, which is the second score line that we made. I'll raise the blade, move the blade to 3 inches, and then cut from 3 inches to 4 3/4 of an inch. So at this point, I've got these cuts made. Now I have to do some more cutting, so I'm going to turn my paper with the 11-inch edge along the top, and all of the cutting and the scoring has been done on this side of the paper on the right-hand side. I'm going to be lining this up at the 1-inch mark again, the 1-inch mark on the right-hand side. I'm going to be cutting from this cut line to this cut line, which means my blade of my trimmer will be lined up at 1 inch, and I'll be cutting from 1 inch down to 5 inches. Now to make this a little bit easier, I'm going to take my paper up, turn it around, place it back in my trimmer, and line it up at 4 3/4. The blade is going to go at the 1-inch mark which is where that paper was cut. And I'm going to be going from cut line to cut line, which is 1 inch, down to 5 inches. And so I have all of the cut lines made. The designer series paper will get attached now all the way around the front of the card. So you'll line up all the pieces that you cut, place them where you want them, and then glue them in place. The next step is to take your piece of your coordinating cardstock and you're going to glue it in place in this front panel. I'll go ahead and do that, and we'll pick up there. To fold and burnish now, we're going to go ahead and fold here and burnish along that edge. And then we have these 3 score lines that we're going to be folding. So when you push this out, you'll see that this center one will become a valley fold. So I'm going to go ahead and do the valley fold on that center one. The other 2 folds will become mountain folds. So I'll fold upwards on this score line, and then on this one I'll fold up as well. So to give you a side view, this is what we have for the card. Now I'm ready to attach the panels to the inside. So I'm going to be taking the coordinating cardstock that we cut, and that piece will go here, and then the piece of white cardstock will go here. This is to write your message to the recipient, and this will be where we'll end up placing our stamped image. With these pieces now glued in place, I'm going to close up the card like this, and I'm going to prepare the front image. You'll see that this card, when you close it, it doesn't meet on the back, but that's fine because that is going to be where you're going to stand up the easel. I've completed the image and the sentiment, and I'm going to be popping this up on dimensionals and adding it to the front of the card. I'll also be now cutting out this piece of yellow and this piece of white using these dies. So here we have the finished card. You can see that it stands up as an easel card, and it has this swing design here. When you open it, there's room here to write a message to the recipient. If you're placing this in an envelope, I recommend that you close it like this. It will help to keep these folds in place nicely. The finished card measures 5 1/4 by 6 inches, so you'll likely have to make your own special envelope for this one. I've made another one as well, also with an Easter theme, but using a different image for this one. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you did, please remember to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.